Thank you. I'm here today to talk about illegal immigration and how it's been a growing problem in the United States today. First things first, I want to talk about how this issue has affected me and my family, especially my dad. So my family and I immigrated here in 1999 from Seoul, South Korea. My dad came here as a visiting scientist with a working visa, and he worked at the National Institutes of Health. So if you wanted to stay here longer, you needed a real job. So an organization called the CTIS, which is a health informatics organization, sponsored him an O visa, which is an outstanding visa given to outstanding scientists. However, after 9/11, my dad was laid off from his job, and just with a working visa, if he didn't find another job in several months, he was going to be deported. So my family and I were facing deportation. Luckily enough, before he got laid off from his job, he was able to apply for a green card, provided that he worked at the CTIS. And luckily enough, he found another job in 2 months. I just want to highlight the circumstance when we are facing deportation, that many families in our circumstance do not have the opportunity like my dad to apply for a green card, and they have a fear constantly 24/7 of being deported. So just a little background about illegal immigration. It dates back to the 17th century when the United States brought in foreign slaves. Now, back then there weren't any restrictions regarding with illegal immigration. Anyone was allowed to immigrate unless you were a criminal or offender of the country. So this is a graph of the increasing trend of immigrants to the United States. There are peaks at the middle of the 19th century and to the beginning of the 20th century because the United States started using immigrants to build railroads, buildings, etc. For example, the United States used Chinese immigrants to build the first continental railroad, as you see it spike in the middle of the 19th century. So a plethora amount of Chinese immigrants came to the United States. So in order for the United States to control the amount of immigrants coming into the United States, they passed the first restriction, also known as the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882. So this was the first step in limiting the amount of immigrants coming in. And years later, they passed the other acts regarding immigration when the Mexicans, Western Europeans started coming in large numbers.
In 1986, the United States passed the Immigration Reform and Control Act that allowed 4 million illegal immigrants to come to the United States in order to apply for American citizenship. However, that reform was a flaw in itself when the United States could not control the amount of illegal immigrants come to the United States, and that's why we have the problem today.
There are about 11.7 million illegal immigrants in the United States today, and this is just a visual representation of where they are, especially in the state of California, Texas, Florida, and New York. This is just a graph showing the increasing trend of immigrants since 1960 up to 2005. And you see the black line, the increasing amount of illegal aliens coming to the United States, and in the future the number is expected to rise. So there are many problems that come with illegal immigration, and that is first, the number of illegal immigrants expected to decrease in the coming years. So as that number of illegal immigrants continue to increase, the difficulty of getting American citizenship also increases. There are many industries that hire illegal immigrants and pay them below minimum wage. Also, we have a problem with deporting many young illegal immigrants at the age of younger than 5, and we're immigrating many students who have received education have the potential to benefit our economy. Finally, many families are getting split apart since most families do not have legal status, and many family members are getting deported, and therefore they're getting split apart. So that begs the question, why do we need illegal immigrants in America, and why does America need a better and permanent immigration reform? So my colleague Jackson Rubinoff gave me some arguments of his own relating to why illegal immigrants should not be in the United States and why the United States should not have a new immigration reform. He says that illegal immigrants decrease the work wages for low-skilled American citizens. Illegal immigrants increase the job competition. There are many fraudulent workers and documents, and basically the illegal immigrants do not help the American economy. Finally, the employment standards are undermined.
America needs a better immigration reform because America can't simply ignore and deport illegal immigrants. Many illegal immigrants are already part of America, and the only thing that's different from us and them are just papers. There are three potential solutions in my immigration reform. First is addressing the problem with deportation. Second is the many benefits that the DREAM Act has. And third is fixing the problem with the U.S. citizenship.
I want to address the issue with what we have with deportations by focusing our deportation to mainly criminals, illegal immigrants who are criminals and offenders who offend our country. As you see in the graph, there are many non-criminal deportations, and the numbers is expected to rise. And that way, we decrease the amount of deportations per year. And also, it is very expensive to deport a person out of the country. It costs about $8,000 per person. It adds up to $2.3 trillion over the next 10 years. So if we only deport criminals and we let the hardworking people, we give them legal status, we decrease the amount we spend on deportations. There's another little graph where we spend a lot of money on keeping illegal immigrants or criminals in jails, and that costs a lot of money. So if we focus on just deporting the criminals and the offenders who offend our country, we will decrease the amount we spend on deportations. President Obama has showed his belief in illegal immigrants and why they should stay in America. He says, I quote, "There are Americans in their hearts, in their minds, and in every single way." He also expressed strong advocacy with the DREAM Act, and I think that this is our first step in our solution to the illegal immigration problem in the United States. The DREAM Act was proposed in 2001 by the Senate, and what it does, it gives opportunities to many young illegal immigrants who are students to continue their education and eventually into college, so when they get a job, they will benefit our U.S. economy. I will get into the details in the further slides, but here is an interview with Cedar Pardo, who is an immigrant himself in Colombia and is a teacher at St. Paul's.
In what way will the DREAM Act help with the illegal immigration problem in the United States?
Finally, after 25 years of living in the United States, President Obama has made it very clear that he's going to work into the immigration reform, and also especially in the act that is needed to be done for many thousands of people living and working in the United States. I think will be beneficial for those immigrants who have shown high standards in academics and the workforce, but also good citizens, to be able to give them the opportunity to reside in this country legally by this DREAM Act. one of the things that I think that is important is to be able to screen those citizens that have earned and deserve the years of service and time that they have put into this country for the benefit of their population, but also for the benefit of every single citizen living in the country.
So specifically what the DREAM Act does is there are about 2.1 eligible dreamers who are illegal immigrants who have received education when they were young. And the DREAM Act gives them the opportunity to continue their education by giving them legal status. And what this does, it creates a 90% increase in earnings by 2030. And if you look at the larger picture, these 2.1 million eligible dreamers are able to create 1.4 million new jobs because by giving them legal status, 20% of immigrants create new businesses, so that creates jobs for everyone. Then it also increases the revenue by 10 billion, and the total impact that our economy has is $329 billion. So when Jackson says that illegal immigrants do not have a positive impact on our economy, it actually has a huge positive impact on our economy. This is another visual representation of each state benefiting from the DREAM Act. As you can see, California having a 90.7 billion economic impact. And you can see the list goes on. Furthermore, there are more economic benefits when it comes to the DREAM Act and having a new immigration reform. The DREAM Act increases our GDP by 3.3% by 2030. It increases our per capita income by $1,700. And most importantly, the DREAM Act can reduce our federal deficit by $2.7 trillion. Furthermore, by giving legal status to many illegal immigrants by the DREAM Act, they also have to pay taxes, which helps with the Social Security problem we have in the United States. And this is a visual representation, just a graph showing how much they will contribute greatly to our Social Security problem over the next 36 years.
Finally, I want to address the possible issue of U.S. citizenship as I mentioned before. Though there are more than 11 million illegal immigrants and counting in the United States, America should continue to be strict with the process of citizenship, and our country should not give legal status leniently. Just because America shouldn't have the reputation of letting people in the country illegally and letting those aliens get citizenship with little problem. However, America should give working permits to the legal immigrants who show American qualities such as diligence, obedience to the law, and the ability to pay taxes. The working permits allow the undocumented immigrants to work here legally for a couple of years. The government should monitor them closely if they can prove to be American citizens. And if they do, they will receive the opportunity to apply for a green card and eventually American citizenship.
We need you, America, to realize the problem we have with illegal immigration in the United States.
I really hope this talk has clearly enlightened you in why we need a better and new immigration reform.
Who are we to stop people from dreaming? Everyone has a dream, and everyone has a right to pursue it. Thank you.